Hey, friends and family. Before I get involved with my day, what do a lot of us do? We get up, do our morning routine, and then we get on the computer, check our messages, and see what's going on. That's what I do. And checked a little bit, watched just a little bit because I have too much to do to be able to sit here today. But as I was sitting there watching, I thought to myself, well, what I honestly want to do is talk. I like catching up with certain people and seeing who's new. But like you folks, I think this is slightly addictive, and I just want to talk a little bit, and then I'm on my way. It's been such a week that I have had little time to listen to a whole lot of stuff. So consequently, what I've been listening to is it's not on vinyl, but the latest Bombay Bicycle Club album, A Different Kind of Fix, it's on repeat. I love it when I hear something that just hits me right. And Bombay Bicycle Club is just the perfect sound. I got it going in the background. You probably won't hear it. I got it way low on my iTunes. I just love the sound. Catch some of the words. I love his plaintive voice. I feel a lot of, I don't know what he's singing about. Don't care. I just feel the voice, and I give it my own meaning, I just do. I've always done that with music. So that's been on repeat on my Walkman. And when I'm doing stuff, I find myself going back to Bombay's Bicycle Club right now. I love it when songs hit me like that. I love it. But I want to show some things. I have taken the time to listen to some music out of my collection and a couple of the recent things that I bought. In Kansas City, I got this REQ sketchbook, double vinyl on Warp, and that's a good title for this sketchbook, because it seems like a lot of what it is it's beats and sketches of ideas that kind of repeat. Some are better than others. Some are good. Sea feel. I'm a sea feel ambient lover. This is awesome, and it sounds good at both speeds. It's a 33, but it's kind of cool at 45 too. Some records that I dipped into out of my collection, because again, that's what the collection is. It's a library. It's like going to the library. That's why I have all these records, for maybe some folks who don't really get why some collectors like to have a lot of records. You don't have to go to the library. And this is more fun than dialing it up on iTunes. Way more fun. So I pulled this Rova album. The Rova Saxophone Quartet is what it used to be called. Long on Logic. And what we have here is the Rova saxophonists doing compositions by Fred Frith on one side, Henry Kaiser one song, Larry Oakes, Steve Adams, and John Raskin. What I really enjoyed about this was the contrast in the compositions. It's one group of musicians, but tackling the different composers' work, they almost sound like a completely different group each time. Masterful musicians, very interesting and challenging compositions, which it talks about on the back. And the execution of the pieces is partly remarkable because, like it says, it talks about on the back how they set the compositions. That's one neat thing about composing. If you're a studied writer, I'm not, but I do understand this. You'll get an idea that you want to execute, and that'll be your challenge in the composition, is to, number one, execute the idea on paper, and then find musicians who can perform it. And this is a good example of that. Some challenging but wonderfully listenable. That's another thing. Some music can be kind of impenetrable, but that's part of the challenge, which I like. I find that it is all penetrable. It's a challenge. I learned from it. Here's something I hadn't played in a long time. French band Zao, Kawana. This is one. A lot of great musicians have come through this band. Members of Magma. This album, Didier Lockwood on violin. The man is fantastic. Yachiko Sefer on sax. And François Clahen and Gerard Provost. They were both in Magma at times. What I like about Zao is they can kind of sound kind of plain at first, kind of like Perigio from Italy. They have kind of a middle-of-the-road sound, but they'll just have these bursts of intensity and fire and interplay. And this album has plenty of that. Nice compositions that are kind of flowing along. And the next thing you know, these guys are jamming their asses off. They can really play. Zao, Kawana. I have another album of theirs. This one I pulled and listened to recently. I stopped out at Half Price Books earlier this week, or was it last week, and just bought two really of the lower priced used it records out there. And one I bought, I really like Joe Farrell, but this cover just seemed so un-Joe Farrell-like. And I had never seen the label. That's one thing I'll give credit. I've always dug independent labels, but I'll give credit to Chris Astral Traveler for kind of reawakening me to the value of records that have clunky, goofy, or ugly covers on small labels. There's treasure in there that is hidden by some of the ugliness, and this is an ugly cover to me. Joe Farrell, Skateboard Park. What? Joe, what you doing, man? You know, with the crappy color in the photograph is it's a bad photograph. I mean, look at the covers. The colors, you can't even hardly see anybody in the picture. And now, I can see where he decided to call the title track Skateboard Park. The head on the tune, you know, the main repeating riff that starts before you into the solos and you come back out. It's neat. It does bring to mind something like wheels or something moving, you know. It's kind of brilliant, actually. Chick Corea's on here. I had never seen the Xanadu label. Some little funky little label. And, you know, looking at it, I always look to see who it's distributed by, etc., etc. And this looks like it's Xanadu Records. I had never seen this label before. Overall, this album is very good. And I read the entire back cover. You know, I love, you know, I love that part about records is the knowledge. And Joe gives, the main part of this is Joe in conversation giving his biography. I didn't know all that about Joe. Man, excellent musicians, really earned his way, you know. Another record I bought because, number one, it was only $2.99, and then I was intrigued. I'm not a big fan of Sergio Mendes. I appreciate him, but when it comes to the Brazilians, what he does is kind of middle of the roadish to me. I'm proud of the fact that one of his singers I grew up with, Carol Rogers. You know, of course, I love that connection. But they had this by the Sergio Mendes Trio in the Brazilian bag. It was only $2.99. It looked brand new. It's a promo. See how that's poked through? They used to do that a little bit. Capitol Records, free promo. It's on Tower Records. That intrigued me. I said, I didn't know Sergio Mendes ever was, you know, but there's a lot of deep history behind all artists, you know, their early recordings. But Tower Records, I know, is not all that collectible except for certain titles, but I've always liked the label, the simplicity of it. And so the combination of all that, plus the record being, and then I kept looking and saying, this can't be a reissue. I mean, I guess it could be, you know, it could be, but it really looks like it's the real deal, including the record itself. And then looking at the actual hole poked through, including the inner sleeve, I don't know why anyone in this day and age would bother to spend the money to fake a Sergio Mendes record. So this looks like it's an original. And it looks unplayed. And I played a little bit of it, and it's just okay, you know, which is why I'm not a big fan, because it's just okay. It's not like listening to, say, like Jobim, you know, or the other cat. I can't think of his name right now. Those people, they just sweep you away with the emotion and the beauty. This is nice. This is nice. It's nice. I was playing this in a video earlier, but I had picked this up too out there. This I paid full price for. A Vinyl Lovers issue of Osric Tentacles Pungent Effulgent. And I like this. I've listened to all this. Yeah, they just really sound like a more Americanized gong to me. Last week, I believe it was, or maybe the week before, I just haven't gotten around to showing this. I went out to a consignment store in the Benson area of Omaha that has records. Mostly the records are overpriced, but I found something that was worth it. It's a reissue, but it's like I hadn't seen it anywhere else, and I've been looking for this. A Message from Birmingham Sunday. This is one of those unreleased pop. It's not sunshine pop. It's not quite psych. It's somewhere in between there. It was never released. The tapes got damaged. You can hear it on side 2. But the way this album starts, and I'm not going to put it on, I'm just going to say, if you're interested in psych, 60s, 70s, undiscovered gems, look this up. You can hear it online, because I found it and downloaded it a few years ago. The first track alone is worth it. It's like, well, on the one hand, there's the psychedelic side of the mamas and papas that you hear on here. But the other band that they sound like to me, you haven't heard of either, I don't think. And it's the band that Joe Bryant was in, called Pigeon. They kind of sound like Pigeon, too. Pigeon's really good. This is real good. And the girl in the band, at the time she's in the band, she's only 15 years old. What's cool is that youthfulness of her voice is all over the music, and it's really, really neat, really neat. Some things I pulled just to play. I don't know if Mr. Rompert watches anymore, or Marcel in Belgium, but I want to shout out to Marcel, because he gave me this kayak album. I had the US version, but I'm pretty sure he sent this to me. Maybe this is, no, he sent me some others. Yeah, I bought this one, yeah. But shout out to you anyway, Mr. Rompert, if you happen to watch this. I hope your son is doing better. Royal Bed Bouncer. This is more pop than prog, but it's great. Excuse me, love the cover too. Played a little bit of this David Gilmour, and had to get into it. It started off like, I'll be honest, the way it started, it was like, here's some of that mediocre shit. I know who David Gilmour is. He's with Pink Floyd. But it starts off with that kind of sound that sounds plain to me. Got better. Got much better. By the time we get to side 2, I can even tell you a song that I had to go back and play a few times because I thought it was so good. It's definitely... I had to go with it because it started off, in my opinion, mediocre. And it got better. Played the John McLaughlin. You know, John McLaughlin stands on his own. His guitar playing stands on its own. And this is wonderful. Wonderful. I was in a mood to just go... I've just been checking out some of my more obscure records lately, really as a result of the vinyl community, people coming on board and having fantastic collections, showing that shit and just getting me all revved up again. People like Christopher, To the Boy Ellis, Astral Traveler coming back. I love it when Glowing Double O Cabbage pulls out the more obscure stuff. Cool Ranch Dressing. I'm going to shout out you guys because you're the best. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Fart Boy. There's more that I keep forgetting, guys. You know, I keep forgetting your names, but you know who you are. You show the records and you make me go, that's the shit. That's what I want to see. And so I went and pulled out The Inevitable Crystal Bell Scrod by Diana Rogerson. This is on United Dairies. This woman is or was the wife of Stephen Stapleton of Nurse with Wound. There are a couple tracks on here that are amazing and that I actually had forgotten were on here. Side 1, the second track, it's really long. No, it's side 2, my mistake. Ambient, fantastic. I can't read it, it's hard to read. This is fantastic. Wow, it's like I'd never heard that one ambient track. Incredibly excellent. The Inevitable Crystal Bell Scrod record. Now, United Dairies records are hard to come by and can be expensive. I looked this one up, and this one is not on the high price side. A couple of our others are. I highly recommend this. Highly recommend this. I forget. It's like hearing some of the songs I remembered, but the track I'm talking about, which is that alone makes this well worth it. It's like I'd never heard it. Fantastic. Diff Juzz. This is excellent. Excellent, 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 excellent. They don't sound like anyone. Someone did comment to me that they looked this up after I talked about it, and they raved. This band is a good example of an obscure band nobody knows about, and their music is without question. All you gotta do is hear it, and you hear the integrity, the quality, and the excellence of this music. This was made back in the 80s. It could have been made today. Diff Juzz. Isn't it interesting that I'm up here raving and just going on and on about a band that is virtually unknown and will remain unknown, and yet I'm trying to tell you that this is better than most of the music you've heard in the last 10 years, and I mean it. And for those with discerning ears, and also depending on your taste, once you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. High quality music. High quality. Very, very imaginative and well played. But heartfelt. See, that's it. Okay, I'm always trying to get the words here. That's the other part. This is not an exercise. This is heartfelt. This is my favorite new Boris album. I love this album. I love this way better than Heavy Rocks and Attention Please put together. Love this album. But the synthesizer and the pop rock moves on these tracks, love this album. Boris are amazing. Boris are so clever, you don't know where they're coming from. I love that about this band. Boris! I'm glad I met him too. Other Lives, fantastic. They really realized this album well. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. As it turns out, one of the VC subscribers, Crap It Out Jim in Manchester, is in the audience of this record. Are you kidding me, Jim? Wow, this is excellent. I have listened to this all the way through. I love Roy Harper, and I love how Jimmy Page works with Roy Harper. Roy Harper is just a magic man. Okay, I'm long. I hate that. Here's something else I pulled out because I was seeing in One Big Holiday that you had bought this online. I noticed mine's a different cover than yours. This is a great album. Reissue of Milkman and Cool Ranch Dressing. You guys have an original with your bad selves. See, that's one of those records where I went, ah! I love seeing cool-ass records. But my Dear Hip is on Banana Yellow. And I noticed that yours was on some kind of orange or pink. Cool, cool. Okay, I'm long and I'm gone. Have a good one, people.